Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to my stream, and I hope your weekend is going great. And I also had a fun weekend building something new, and here we are again. So I just went on live on Twitch, and I also sent a bunch of tweets to help people get into my stream. And let us get something interesting going with the stream. So we will first be taking a look at where we are at the local Hack Day Share event, and then let us take a look at some of the challenges again, and let us create something new today. And for the fun part, we will be taking a look at an interesting project, and that is also part of the challenge. And that is we have to get a bronze medal at the what is it called battle snakes. So let us see what battle snakes is all about, and then let us create something interesting with the challenges that we are given. So let us get going with that stream. We already have a couple of viewers, so it will be great today. So let drop a hi in the chat or something, so I can know that people are watching, so I can then get started going and build a conversation around it while I'm at it. So that's great. And let's get started. Also, do let me know if my audio goes out of sync, because uh, in the last stream, what happened was that I did not know that my audio was muted. And 46 minutes into the stream, some of the viewers said that my audio was muted, or were they not able to hear that properly. So I checked my OBS settings, and what happened was uh, I was not muted exactly, but in somewhere in the settings down in the menu, it was selected monitor and mute output, and I did not know what that meant. So I had to Google that up after the stream, and then I got to know that something strange had happened. So we already have a couple of people in the chat. We have Luke. Hey Luke, good to have you on the stream. And also we have a bot, Denhart. Is that a bot? I don't know. So let's get going with the stream. So Major League Hacks is organizing this local Hack Day share event for the entire week this time, March 28th to April 5th. So what we had to do this time was to create something, but not focus on the creation aspect of it, but more about the sharing part, as in how did we create it, what was our journey, and we had to teach other people, other participants who took part in that event, that how did we make our project or help them with theirs, and also help them set up some of their projects as well. So it was all about sharing, and just like now I'm doing my live stream and all, so I'm sharing my knowledge. So it was all about that sharing part, because collaboration comes first and code comes second. So let us take a look at the challenges again, and what we are going to do today will be inspired by that only. So I had something in mind already. So I was talking about this Battle Snake Spring League. So what for the weekend challenges, what we have to do, we have to compete in this uh, game league, I guess, and then we have to earn a bronze medal and then share a link to our profile to the Major League Hacks staff. They have a Google form, and we have to submit our profile link there. So that is one of the cool things that we are going to take a look at. Uh, I don't know if we will be able to get a bronze medal or even any medal in the first place, but it will be fun to get to know what it is all about. And then there is another challenge that I was searching about, that we have to create something it's like a translator. So yeah, here is that challenge, that we have to build a translator, and so that we can translate between languages and make something out of it. So for that, what I was thinking about is, what if we can build an IVR application. An IVR is a system where you have to call in to a number, and then you get a few options, and like if you have done phone banking and all, and even if you have talked to customer care, they ask you to select a few options, and then they tell something back or connect you to some executive. So what we are planning to do is, we will be asking the caller what language they want to converse in, and then we will send a message that will be translated, uh, and say that, remind yourself to wear a mask before going outside, because we have to take care of the pandemic ourselves. No one else is going to do it for us. So that is really important. So I think we can get that working. So again, if you have a fun plan, or if you did something fun over the weekend, do let me know in the chat and I'll get to it. So let us get going. And before even that, let us take a look at the leaderboard where we are. So in the major league hacks, local hacked events, the points are there for fun. It is not a reward mechanism or anything. So for fun, my guild, that is the Eddie Hub guild, we scored almost 7,327 points, and we have 284 members registered with us for this LHD event. And let me check my stats. Where am I in this list? So I will search for my name and check that. Okay, so 51. Oh no, I missed the top 50 by one rank. But let's get this stream going, and then we will get those points by taking a look at the battle snake thing and creating that translator. We will achieve that, and let us get to the top 50. So let us take a look at it. So when I first got to Battlesnake, so it is hosted at battlesnake.com, I believe. So this, if that loads, yes. So in this thing we have to program our bot Battlesnake, and we have to compete online. So it is almost like one of those games that you have to play with your. It almost looks like that we had on our phones, that the snakes moved around and ate a few apples, and they we dodged those walls and our tail, like that only, but with multiple people. And in this one we have to create the logic ourselves, and we have to implement something called the Battlesnake API. If you can see this, we have to implement this Battlesnake API, and then we can get going. So let us take a look at that and what it is all about, because honestly I have not taken a look at what it is. But let's do it live, because this is all about sharing what we are learning. So let us take a look at what we can do. So let me go to my profile page. So it is saying that to play Battlesnake, you need a web server that implements the Battlesnake API. So let us take a look at what the Battlesnake API is. So you might see that I had opened that up already, and I closed that and I opened the homepage again, and here we are again. So this Battlesnake thing is a survival game, and it's autonomous. That means that each of your player, as in your player, is controlled by a live web server, and it moves independently to find this food and avoid other snakes and all. And your goal is to stay alive as long as possible. So if anyone can compete and win. And okay, so we need excellent programming skills. And okay, let's see where that goes. We require creativity and strategy. So we have to build and deploy a web server that implements the API, and when the game is created, the engine will make HTTP requests to our server, and we will receive the game board information, and it will ask us for our next move. So we have to give a reply, and the behavior of our battle snake will be determined by how we respond to these. So okay, so that means we will have a simple API that will accept an HTTP request and respond to it. So that is how this Battlesnake API will be implemented, and they have given us a free play, so we can have simple logic to machine learning and AI. So I believe some of the best players at this game must be using a machine learning model to train their snakes, and then predicting the next moves and all. So first of all, we have to select a starter project. So I'll go with JavaScript because I'm more familiar with it. Okay, so we have to implement these commands, and then we can do this. So okay, so we have to get this get battle snake start game, move, end game commands implemented. So let us take a look at it, what it is all about. So this is the API reference that we get. An API reference is a documentation that gives us the URL that we are this is the endpoint that we are supposed to use, the HTTP method that we are supposed to use. This is the example request, and all of the request parameters are given here, and the response will be something. Response will be 200. Okay, okay. And the request properties will be this API version, author, color, head. Okay, let's take a look at it when we get to implementing it. And then let us take a look at the start game. So this is a post endpoint. The earlier one was a get endpoint. And okay, so let us now go here, and this is the start endpoint. It will be a post endpoint. So we can have a request body object. So it is a body parameter. It will it will contain a game object, a turn, integer, a board object, and some information about our player. And then responses are ignored, so we can respond with 200. That is the least we could do. And then let us take a look at the move endpoint. So this is the endpoint, and we have similar parameters. And this time our response will be move or shout. So okay, so we can send a message to other players, and but we are required to provide the move parameter. So we will move up, down, left, or right with that. And the end will be to as an end the game. And our API will receive this post request. So it is going to be something like a webhook, and we will receive a notification event at this endpoint. So if the game has ended, we will have a response. So yeah, so that is all it is about. So let us get started, and let us take an example if they have provided. So that is the okay, they have only provided us the API reference like that, and the next step is to deploy our battle snake and register it to our account and create our game. So okay, this is a lot of stuff. So let us get started with the API first of all and get it down. So our battle snake API will contain the following. So let me just create a new application for this. We will be working with JavaScript. So let me create a new directory. We will call it LHT Battlesnake, and then let us navigate within that. And I'll open up VS Code here just so that we can have an editor to work with. I'll zoom in, and okay, now let us initialize a new JavaScript project here. So yarn init I will do. So I'll accept all the defaults and create this JavaScript project. And that's it. So let us take a look at our package.json file, and that is here. So it is true that backslash messed this up. So at this point, I want to create a new script. So that will be the first start script will be for nodemon that I have not yet installed. Luke told me it was nodemon or nodemon, but I'll call it nodemon. That works for me. So nodemon works, and it will what it will do is it will restart our server automatically whenever any changes are made to the source code. So once that is done, we'll add a few packages. Let us do express, morgan, .env, and axios. Do we need axios? No. So let us do all just this stuff so that we can have a web framework. Express will be for web framework. With Morgan, we can log our requests, and with .env, we will have access to the environment variables, if any. I don't know yet if we have an environment variable for this one, but Express and Morgan. Okay, no demon like Pokemon. Okay, that's great. Let me create a .ignore file, a .getignore file as well while I'm at it. Otherwise, node modules will get committed to the GitHub repository, and I don't want that to happen. So once we that have that in mind, we don't yet have nodemon, so let us add nodemon. 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 I still have to work on my pronunciation for nodemon. And that once that is done, let us go ahead and create an index.js file, because the main script that it will be executing is index.js. So index.js, here we are. Let us create a new express application. So I'll do require express. And once we have that down, let us instantiate a new express application like this. And let us also bring in our logger that will be Morgan. So const Morgan is equals to require Morgan. And once we have that down, we will do app.use Morgan. And I'll do it tiny. I only want only a bits and pieces of information, as in what is it, what type of request we are getting, and what is the endpoint and what is the time. For all the other stuff, we will be taking a look at the another tool that we can do that with, because our API needs to be publicly accessible. So we will anyway need another tool to get that going, because we are doing this locally. And once we have that down, we will have to listen in to some port on our machine. So let us do at process.env will access the port environment variable if that exists, or do 5000 otherwise. And when that is done, we will console log that we are listening on port. And let's do something like this. We'll use a template string, not string template. Process.env.port. We can actually refactor that to another variable so that we don't have to do this twice. So let us go up here and do const port is equals to something like this, and we can have port here and also put in port in this place. So once we have that going, let us create a endpoint. What is the first endpoint that we need to implement for this? This is the get endpoint at the root, and it will have to give this as a reply, as a response. So we will do app.get at the root. So I will use a simple arrow function for this. Request to response. I'll make this handler an arrow function, and let us reply with this. So I'll do res.json, and I'll send this JSON object. Let me do something like this, and I'll save it. And it did not format it automatically, so I guess I need to initialize prettier here, and whatever prettier gives us, we'll go with it. So okay, it's now auto formatted my code, and I am now happy with my formatting. And let us see what is our username, because it is asking for an author field and it has to have my username. So what is my username? I guess this is my username. So I'll copy that and put it here. This is my first API version, so that is correct. And let's take a look at the color. For the color, let us do something like 343434. So it will be a matte black kind of thing. And the head and tail will go with the defaults, but we will see what it is all about. And the version is beta, so that is fine with me. So once we have that down, let us take a look at the other endpoints. We will do another endpoint, let's say app.post, and we will do something like start, and we will have another request handler. This will also be an arrow function, and we will, what we have to do in this, so we will have a game object, and then these this will be the request that we will be getting, and we don't have to response. So we will receive this request when it has entered a new game, and every game will have a unique ID, and your response to this request will be ignored. So we don't have to respond with anything, but we have to do some logic with this. That is what I am thinking about. So let us take a look at the game object, what we will be getting. So this is the game object, so it will have a ID parameter, ID property. And let's let's do this. Let's console log when we receive this request. We will do something like a rec.body, so we'll take a look at it, and I guess that will do it for now. And then for the move and end endpoints also, I'll do the same. So I'll just copy it and duplicate it twice, and we'll do move and end. Let's just take a look at what it is doing. And for the move part, I guess we also need to have a response, because for the start, our response will be ignored. But for move, we have to provide a response, and that could be up, down, left, or right. So let us do something random. So we will respond with, let's say, up every time. Rest.json, we will respond with move, and that will be up every time we do that. So with that, we have our API ready, and that is it. And we should send a response of status code uh, as send. I'll send a blank string, so we at least have something. So when we will receive that request, uh, the server can at least know that our request has been successfully received. Otherwise, we will have no other indication for this. So in order to run this, now let us go to our terminal. Let me fire up tmux so that I can see many terminals at once. So I'll do something like this, and I'll do yarn start here. So our application is now running at port 5000. We need to expose this to the internet. So we will use the ngrok port forwarding, and we will expose our port 5000 on the local machine to this URL. And now we will copy this endpoint. My mouse is not working correctly for the past few days, but let us take a look at what it is currently providing us. So this will be this is the get endpoint, right? So we had something at the root of the endpoint. So this is the get endpoint, and we are getting this information. So our API is working. So now let us register our battle snake and get going, because we had deployed. Our deployment is complete. We have done the step 1. Step 2 is done. Step 3 is the register your battle snake, and we will do our battle snake will be the LHD, so that the G81 snake, and the URL will be this thing, and description I'll skip, and okay, let's get going. I'll probably make it open source, but for now let's skip it, because I need to take a look at what else permissions, if it will ask me for some permissions at all. And I also need to provide it a few tags. I need to create a readme file so that it is better for the other developers to get to know my project. So that is why I'll do it after the stream. So this is my snake. So this is its name, and it is a private snake right now. And we have beta version, and it has a very high latency. So we'll take a look at that, what it is all about, because I don't really know what it is going to be. So let's click on play game and add it to a game. Let's do a small board, and let's find for snakes. So I'll add a random snake, and someone Rico Joshua 6 have made a snake. So let me start a game with them only, with their snake. So once that is done, we will take a look at our uh, request. So ngrok also has this web UI, so we can take a look at that. So we will be able to see the requests better. So we have received this request from this IP address that is not mine, and it has responded with this. So I guess the servers of the battle snake have asked for it. So let us start the game. We moved out of bounds because we only responded with uh up, and is that what it is all about? So okay, they have ran out of bounds. So game rule set is solo. I don't know what it is about, but let's see. Okay, so my snake is just going out of bounds. So let me take a look at it, how we can use let me create an array of moves. So I'll do something like this, that allowed moves are up, down, left, and right, if I can type that correctly. Once that is done, we will get a random one from them. So let us search for JavaScript random element from list. No. So for that, let me take a look at one of the examples here. So we'll do math.floor. We can use this snippet to find out a random element from our array. So I'll do something like move. I'll do moves, and the index will be a random number, and that will be based on the length of this array. And let us see what happens. But it did not make any post request to my endpoint, so I am kind of curious at what it is all about. So let me start a new game. So these are two snakes, and I'll click on start game. So it should start a new game, I think. It has started a new game, and I'll click on play, and it has done something. Why is it not doing anything? Am I missing anything? So create your first game, create game, add your battle snake, and let's take a look at the rules. So their snakes are moving like this. So why are not our snakes moving like that? As in, what are the instructions for doing things? Let us see. These are the battle snakes. This is the health and the length and the latency. So I'll just okay. Someone crossed the bounds, and I guess they have won. Okay, it was turn two or something. I don't know what it is all about. So I think that was the end of it. So okay, we have to add our snake to our game. Then only we can we will match with other people only when we add our battle snake to the game. So we had to add this click on this plus button to add our snake to the game. So I'll click on start game, and now what it will do is, I guess it should make a request. So it is asking for a move. So what happened? So this is how our snake worked. So when it started from this point. Then for the first move, it went I guess front or right. Let us see what happened. So it started our game. This was the game ID that we got, and then we responded with, what did we respond with? Let's take a look at our response. So we moved left, then down, and then down, left, down, and then again it ended. So this was the entire thing, that we created an endpoint. It made some requests through our endpoint, and this game started, and we made a few moves like this. Our API made this random move. So we went like this, and we bit ourselves. So that is why we collided with ourselves. So our snake died as a result of it, and the other snake won. So it is really a cool little application, and it also forces us to work on our coding skills as well. So that is a really cool challenge that we had. So apart from that, we also have this AI chatbot that I built over the weekend with some of my guild members. So what it does is it uses a KNN classifier that we worked on in this Python notebook. And then what it will do is it will let me show you the screenshot once again. So if we provided a few positive chats in the Discord channel, and it will keep a track of it, as in keep a counter for each server, each Discord server it is in, and it will respond with yay if there are many positive responses over the past 10 minutes or so. And if there are more negative messages, it will just say that last few messages have a negative sentiment. So it was a sentiment analysis project. So this was the entire that is the Python notebook that our team members wrote. And we selected our best model, that was the KNN model. with the 99.45%. Or I guess now the logistic regression has somehow reached a better accuracy, and we should now then implement that instead of the KNN classifier. So this was also a cool project. This was out of the box, and due to the local Hackney challenges, we got to do it. So that was really cool. So if someone is still in the chat, please let me know that you are still watching, because I currently just lost my stream dashboard. I think it crashed because I'm using it on my phone. But let me see if I can pull that up again. So yeah, it now works. Great. So we have currently a couple of viewers with us. So now let us go ahead in our stream and let us talk about what we are going to do next in our stream today. So what I'm thinking is we will build a translator, and for that it will be a IVR application, and we will probably need a few communication APIs, because IVR is a API. IVR is an application that requires our phone. It will make a phone call basically, and then we will work with that. So for that, there are a couple of options. You can use Vonage. They provide communication APIs. You can use Twilio. Both of them work, and we will be able to achieve this with any of the alternatives that there are, like other communication APIs as well, that provide you the programmable voice capability. And for the other thing, we will be taking a look at how to translate, because first we need to get some user input, and then we will work at how to greet them and how we can work on the our translation part of it. So let us get started, because this will be interesting and we will also learn something new in this manner. So I'll open up the developer portal for Vonage. It was called Nextboom before this, before Vonage took over, but it is still hosted at developer.nextboom.com. So if my is my voice still working? So let me just know. Yeah, I am still here. And let me work with programmable voice for this, because we are going to create an IVR application and we need programmable voice. So if you take a look at the Twilio counterpart, so it will be something like, let's say, the Twilio voice API, I think. Yes. So this is the Twilio voice API. You can either work with this or work with the Vonage one. So let us go with the Vonage one, because why not? And let us take a look at how we can do this. So for this, there are a couple of tutorials already on their developer portal, but we will go ahead and take a look at a specific one, as in how to handle user input with DTMF, because that is why I am particularly interested at learning and how to do. So what happens when you make a call with this voice API is that you need uh, an API key and a API secret key, API secret and the key, and you have to make a request, or you can use any of the SDKs that are there in one of these languages. You can use one of them, and then you will have to have a couple of webhook endpoints ready, just like we created for the Battle Snake API thing. We just that how we created that. We will also have to have some of the APIs publicly accessible like that only. And what it will do is, whenever there is a call received by one of the virtual numbers, it could be a Vonage virtual number, or it could be a number you rented from Twilio. So once you make a call to that number, then your application will receive a request, and then you have to reply. We have to respond with NCCO, or in Twilio there is Triml. So these are specific markup languages and object that define the call flow that is going to happen. So that is cool. And let us take a look at the NCCO when we get to it. So as you can see here, they have express application going again. So this time they have used this something called Nexmo CLI. We'll be taking a look at that, if we can use if we have to use that or anything else. So they're installing express as well, just like we did for the battle snake thing. And they are initializing the body parser. We don't need body parser now, because body parser is integrated into the express library itself. So we will just do express.json. So that will make our life easier. And you can see here we have two endpoints like webhook answer and webhook DTMF. And this webhook answer endpoint will receive the request whenever that number is called, and this handler on inbound call will handle that request. So what it is doing is it is declaring this NCCO object. We'll take a look at that, what it is about. It is a list of JavaScript objects. So each of them has an action property. It could be talk, input. So let us just take a look at the NCCO reference. So this is a call control object that will define the flow that I just spoke about. And we can record a call. We can join an existing conversation. They also have a conversation API. So you can take a look at that. You can connect the call that is incoming to another phone number. You can also do that, or you can generate some text to speech and it will send the synthesized speech to that phone call. And you can also do streaming, that is, you can send the entire audio file like an mp3 file or WAV file. You can send that as a part of the conversation, and that audio file will be played into the call. So that is also cool. I did a YouTube video and I also wrote a blog on how to make and receive calls with JavaScript. uh, I guess a week before this. So you can take a look at that as well and then come back to this recording of the stream. But whatever works for you, works for you. And then we also can do input. This is the one that is important for us today. We will be accepting user input from the person that we are calling. So when we are using this action input, we can have an event URL, a event type, DTMF, and speech, and all that. So what we will do is, let us just get started with something. Let us only do this part only first. That we will just say that please enter a digit or say something, and we'll replace this with please select a language, and then we will ask for a language. So let us get up and running with up to that part, and then we will come back to this reference once we have that going. And you can see that it is providing an event URL, and we also have another handler on input, and that is also sending another call control object. So we will take a look at all around that and why we are doing the things we are doing once we get something started. So first you need to go to the Vonage dashboard. So you can click on try it free and sign up for an account if you don't have already. I already have an account, so I'll log in. So I'll click on login, and now it is asking for a verification code. So every time you log into the Vonage developer dashboard, so what you will receive is an OTP, one time password, from the Vonage SMS verify API. I think that is what they have used, and I'll just put that in and click on submit. So we now have this dashboard in front of us. So we have our API key and API secret, and then what do we need to get something like a voice application going? So for this, first thing you need is a number. So you can go here and buy a new number. So for this, again, you can buy a number that is based in the United States, and you can select the features that you need. We will need the SMS feature, and you can search for your number, whatever you want to have. And let us go with this number that is in front of us. So we will click on buy, and it is asking us that it will be enabled for SMS and voice. And it's before using it, we will not be using it for outbound SMS, so it is good with us because we have to register brand and a campaign. Otherwise, that will not work with the Vonage API. But I think Twilio APIs are not having this problem at this point in time, because I just used that API in one of my live streams yesterday and it went great. So I'll click on buy, and then we need to create a Vonage application. So you can go to your applications and create a new application and give it a name. We will call it LHD IVR, let's say translation, and we'll click on generate public and private key. So for authentication, we will need to use this private key to authenticate ourselves for all the requests. So I'll click on generate public and private key, and I'll save it somewhere safe. Let me create a new folder in my home directory. I'll call it LHT IVR translate, and I'll save the private key here itself. And once I have my private key, let me go ahead and move that. So we need this voice capability for our application, and for that we need to provide these URLs. I'll skip the fallback URL, but we will need to provide this answer URL and this event URL. And you also saw in this example that we have an answer endpoint. So that is your key. That it is what it is asking, that we need to give it an endpoint that will be used for receiving the inbound calls and responding to it. So I'll just use this running ngrok instance. So I'll copy my, if it works, yes, I'll just copy this and do something like slash webhooks slash answer, and that will be our answer URL. And for the event URL, I'll do something like event webhooks slash event. So with that, we will have our uh, webhooks sorted. So we can then go ahead and generate a new application. And I will link this newly bought number with this application. Though it is linked to some other application, so I'll not use that. What number did we just uh, purchase? But let's go ahead with this. It is not linked, so it is now showing it is as linked, so that is fine with us. We have this application ID, we have this vonage number, and we have our API key and secret from the dashboard. So now we can get going. So let us go ahead and to our console, and let me close this battle snake that was running for quite a bit of time, nasty snake. And then we can go ahead to the LHD. What folder is it? You can already see I've been doing a lot of LHD challenges. Let us go to this IVR translate folder, and let us initialize a JavaScript project here. Of course, yarn init and not yarn start, and I'll just go ahead and accept all the defaults, and I'll open Visual Studio Code here, and I'll close this one. Let me create we already have the private key here, and that will be useful in a few minutes. So I'll go get ignore and do node modules while we are still at it, and private dot key, I don't want to push that to any repository. And then we will also have something else called .env. This will be the environment file that will be required. It will contain all our environment variables, so it is required for us to keep it safe. I'll create another environment file as in .env.example, and when I push this to the GitHub repository, you can take a look at that, and it will not have my environment variables but a template for that, as in what else we are going to need. I'll create a new index.js file, and then we should get going and install our dependencies what there are. So I'll do yarn add, let's add nodemon first of all, and then let's add express morgan and .env, because why not. And what else are we going to need? We need the, I guess we need the we don't need anything else specifically. Yes, we don't need anything else other than this. I don't even need that private key. I think we are good with this. And let me go ahead and add a new script here. So I'll add a new script. Let's call it start. And what I'll do here, I'll do nodemon dot, in the current directory it will execute nodemon, and our index.js file will be running continuously while we are making any changes to it. So let me just create a new express application. I'll just copy it over from our battle snake, because we just created an index.js uh, an express application there, and that works for us. I'll just delete all of this, and let's get doing what we are here for. We have two endpoints as far as I remember. That was slash webhooks If I can type again, webhooks slash answer and webhooks slash event. And let us also take a look at the API reference while we are at it, because we should also have a knowledge at what request we are going to get. So let's see, there are two versions of this API available. I will click on the version 2, and this is the call placed callback. So no, this is not what we are looking at. So let me take a look at the version 1 only. So it is about the API, I think, and it is not saying anything about receiving a call. So it is not telling us anything about receiving a call. But let's just use this template for this. So we will do that. For this we will just console dot request dot body, and I'll just again console log this request dot body while we receive any request, and we will not respond with any ncco object, because we just want to see what is the example request that is coming in. So what else can I do to not let you know about my phone number? Let me take a look at that. So this will be fun. So let me go ahead and take a look at this should be in the API reference itself. No, it is in the webhook reference. So in the webhook reference, all our webhooks will be configured in this way. So they have a handy little guide. So all of our answer webhook will have this, that it is coming from this number and it is going to this number, and this is the UUID. And let's see. So we can do something like this. We can use this UUID and we will console log that. Console.log request dot body dot UUID. Let us let us print that out. And for the event webhook, we can have a status and a UUID. So we will print both of them. Let us say UUID, and we will do request dot body dot status. And once we have that, we should be good to go. So let us now execute this, as in start, get this up and running. So yarn start we will do, and let's just go ahead and get the phone number that we registered for this. So this was the phone number that was registered for with our application, right? So I'll go ahead and make a call to this number. If I have balance talk time on my phone, that is important. 38389. Let me make a call. So I am now making a call. So it is now playing some COVID advisory. So this is what we get to hear whenever we are about to make some calls. And while we are at it, let's just go ahead and switch to our console only, so that we can take a look at what is happening. It it did not say anything, but something really happened. So there was this get endpoint, I guess. We we were listening for post, but I think we configured it for get request. Is there any option there? Yes, there is a get and a post option right here. So I'll just move it to post, because we are using this post method. We are just accepting the post method, so we should have post instead of get. And then I'll make that call again, and let's just see what it says this time. So it did not connect due to some reason, but just let me make that call again. So it again said that the line is busy. I think this is the line that this is busy. So we have a couple of errors already, and let us see that it cannot read the property UUID of undefined, so it is perfectly okay. Why did that happen? Because we did not register that middleware to our application, as in we had to do something like app.use express.json. Otherwise, we will not be able to parse the JSON that is incoming to our uh, phone number. So this is important. So that is why it was failing, I suppose. So it is now again up and running, and let me make that call once again. And in this stream, we are making a lot of calls. So it, as you can see, that it printed something, a few things to the console. So in this event, when it this event URL this is posting, when we receive a event at this event webhook, it is saying that this call was has been started, this call is ringing. Then we answered the call. Due to some reason there is this undefined, we will take a look at our code, and then it was completed. So our event endpoint is working correctly. So here what are we doing? We are printing the UUID, but does that not exist in the answer webhook? It does exist. So what is the problem? let us let us debug this. That this is the request, this is the JSON format data we will be receiving in the body. And let us take a look at, let me just take a quick look at the request that it sent in the, let me look at the, what I'm talking, I'm just rambling about. We can just use ngrok to view the request. So I'll just copy this web interface URL. It is just at the port 4040. I'll go to the port 4040, and I'll just switch my screens for 1 second when I take a look at it, because I don't want my phone number to get uh, displayed on the stream. So when we received the answer request, so we did not send anything, but we did have that UUID and from and to and conversation UUID, but I am not sure why did it go as undefined. So it is really mysterious for me at this point. So I'll close my ngrok dashboard, and let us take a look at it, what went wrong. So we are console logging this at webhook answer. I guess we did not register that application the endpoints correctly. That could have happened. So this is answer, and this is event. No, we did that correctly. Let me just delete a few things. So I'll delete the request body dot from, so you will not be able to see my as in phone number. And I'll run this again. Let me run it again, and then let me just make another call. So yes, no, we work right at this point. It did print something to the console though. So this is the part that it has printed. So we should probably do something like answered. We answered this one, right? So this is how it will work. So I have saved this now, and let us see at what is happening. We don't have prettier here. I'll create a prettier uh configuration file here, so we can have some formatting action. So we have this ready to go. What I was talking about is I was worried that I did not get this webhook endpoint correct, but this is correctly displaying the only the conversation, the call ID. So we only logged the console into the console the UUID of the call, so that is correct. So we have the answer object in front of us. Now let us go to the NCCO reference and take a look at the example, and then we can follow along. So I will just copy this first part, and then let us send this as a JSON object back to the thing. So we will do something like let me just do this or no, we will just send an NCCO object. This is the correct way of doing things. So we will do, what are we going to do? We'll declare a new NCCO object that will be a array of objects, and this will work. And we will ask, please select one for English, and let's say two for one another language that you guys or you folks can talk tell me about what I can use as a language. So let me know in the chat what I should use. I'll probably use Hindi if I don't get a response. So I am just taking a look at the chat and I don't have any response at this point. So I'll go ahead Hindi. So please select one for English and two for Hindi, and then I'll respond with that, and that should be played to the call. And let us take a look at it how it happens. So I'll set the language. It also has this language attribute property. You can see the NCCO reference. You can have a look at the talk, and we also have this language and style. There is this text to speech guide that you can use. So for, let's say, we can have a lot of things. So I'll go with English, and let's see, English India. We have a couple of styles here. So this is one of the style. Is it playing correctly?
Hello. Thank you for calling.
Hello,
How can we
thank you
help
for
you
calling.
today?
How can we help you today?
So these are a couple of options that we have. So I'll use this style too. That looks good to me. And this language and style option we have to provide. So I'll go ahead with language as ENIN. I guess that is how it is expecting. And then we can provide the style as two. So once we have that, that should be our NCCO object, and that should be good to go. Let us try it out. And it has restarted our application. Let us make a call to this endpoint. So it is just playing that advisory once again. So this number is currently based in the United States. So I'm currently making international calls at this point for the stream. Yeah. So that advisory is still playing. So we'll wait for our application to answer that call.
Please select one for English and two for Hindi.
So you just heard that. So our application has worked correctly, and we just said, please select one for English and two for Hindi. So that thing worked correctly, and I'm really happy about that. That was the really important part of our stream right here, because we were able to make a call live on stream. So now let us go ahead and ask for user input, and let us see how we can do that. I'll go to input, and this DTMF is let us see what is DTMF. This is a dialing tone, I think, because whenever you press any number on your phone keypad, it sends a couple of pulses, and this is dual tone multi-frequency signaling. So it sends out a special tone whenever you press a number. So if it is asking for an input, and if you select some keys on your keypad, it will let us know what you have entered. So that is the DTMF input, and we can also have automatic speech recognition. So for this one, what we are doing is we are saying that please select one for English and two for Hindi. So we can do DTMF input directly. So there is this max digits option. So number of digits the user can press, and the default is 4, and the maximum is 20. So I'll go with 1, because we only need one option, that is the language 1 or 2. There could be many different languages, and you can have for this for all of them, but let us see. I'll copy this part of the NCCO, and then let us go ahead and do this. So what it is telling us is it is an action of action input. So it is the input of type action. We will have a DTMF only. The max digits will be 1. We are not using speech at this part of the NCCO. And then there should be an event URL, and this should respond with the entire list of as in responses at what are the what could be the different scenarios. As in, you can do something like this, that whenever you receive a request, you can have another endpoint cater to that. So I'll do something like uh, this request dot host. Is it request dot host? What was in that uh, tiny bit of information? So this is the event URL. So I'll copy this one and I'll paste it here. So the request dot protocol, whatever protocol it is using, and it will find out our ngrok uh, address that we are using and make a call to this endpoint. So this is DTMF. So we now need to create that endpoint. So I'll go ahead and copy this event and I'll go ahead and name it DTMF. And we will have this once again. And in this event URL, what we will receive is I am believing we will receive an NCCO object again. So no, we should go to input, and this we will receive something like this. If we use a DTMF, we will be getting this object as our request as speech DTMF dot digits. We can access the digits here, and this will be the other information that is there. And otherwise, if we use speech, we can have something like the results could be, we can have the recording of that speech, and we can have different confidence levels and the text that it is recognizing. So if someone said sales, so it could mean the sales as in the ship sales, or a sale at the store, or the sales as in the entire department of sales, something like that. You can have something like that. So I'll just go ahead and log something to the console. So I'll log this DTMF object, and then we have to respond with something also. So, and this is the event URL it is sending. This object will be received by our event URL, and then we also have to send a NCCO object again, so that otherwise what will happen is the our call will end at this point, because we don't have any other as in NCCO part that is left. Otherwise, if you have another object here like action talk or action stream, it will get executed if you don't send another NCCO as a response to this DTMF. Otherwise, if you send an NCCO, it will get replaced. So I'll just say that for this purpose, I'll say const NCCO. I'll go ahead and declare this, and I'll say that action talk, and I'll copy it from here, and I'll put it right beneath this, and I'll say that you entered, and I'll just concatenate it with the DTMF dot digits, because we will have that in our request body, because this will be the request that we will receive, this DTMF dot digits. So let us do this thing. I'll just copy this part, and we will say that you entered 1 or 2, and we should also say that thank you for calling. At this point, I am just doing this, and then we should get going and use that translation part. Thank you for calling. And after this, we should get going with our other parts of our application. So I'll send this NCCO as a JSON, and we are done with this. This TTMF input should work, and whenever I press any as in any phone any digit, so it should say something. So I can have something like this, that if my this is the response I will be sending. So I'll, let's say this something like this. This will be my response, and this could be based on the input that I am having. So it could be something like response dot uh, response dot sorry, request dot body dot dtmf. If there are digits there, then you do this. Otherwise, we can do that you did not enter any number. So I'll just go ahead and do that and let Prettier do its thing. And it has said that there are some errors in our code. So I'll take a look at the errors. So what it expected, yes, there is no object here. So we will say that response is what I am sending, and that is what it is. So now it has restarted, and let us make the call again, and let us see and hear what will happen this time.
आपके पास कॉल करने के लिए पर्याप्त बैलेंस नहीं है
So I just ran out of my the talk time. So let me just recharge my phone at this point. So I'll go ahead to my telecom, the phone operator, the network operator that there is, and I'll just do a quick recharge, and I'll get back to the stream. So for until now, let's listen to something cool. Let me get my audio keys correct. I'll mute myself. So I've gone ahead, and now my recharge is successful, and now let us try that again one more time. So now we should be looking at an IVR already. So let me turned the volume up. As you can see, it just errored out because request is not defined. And why would that be? Because we are not using request here, we are using request like this. So let me try that once more. So I'm calling.
Please select 1 for English and 2 for Hindi.
So it is now asking for my language. So I'll say that I
You
said,
did not enter anything.
so I did not enter anything, and it's I think it has timed out, so I'll need to change the timeout settings. So as you can see that I entered one, but it did not register. So one thing that we can do here is this. We can do this timeout. This default value is 3. I should set it to 10, so I will not time out as soon as the number it is just asking for the input, and right at that moment I was not able to press that correct digit. So let me go to the max digits and I'll do timeout like this. I'll set it to 10. That is the maximum, I think. And yes, that is correct. Now I will call that number again, and let us see this time what happens.
Please select 1 for English and 2 for Hindi.
So we'll select one.
You entered 1. Thank you for calling.
So as you were able to hear that we selected one, and thank you for calling. So our application for this voice API has worked, and now we can go to the translation part. So what I am thinking of using is this. We will use this translate API. Let us see this Google Cloud Translation API, and we will take a look at that in our console. So we will be using this translation API. So whatever message that the user will be talking to us, my idea is we should be able to translate that uh, message to English, or vice versa. We can just say that please wear a mask in their language. So we can do that second part easily. So we have to first set up our project. So for that we need to go to the project selector, and we will let me go to my Google Cloud Console and let you know how we do this. So we will go to this project selector, select a recent project. I will go ahead with this local hack day one, and I'll say I'll search for translate API. I believe it's called translate. So yes, this is the cloud translation API that we can use, and I'll enable this for my account. I currently have an access to a billing account, so that is why I am using this. You are free to use any other alternative that there is to do this entire thing from scratch. So let me take a look at the chat. So there is no other new chat. Let me know if you are in the chat so we can get a conversation going. It will be fun for all of us to just build out a conversation out of this. So we have now enabled our crowd translation API, and we have a few credentials. So I will copy this credential, and we will be able to save this in a .env file. And how we can use this translation API, let us see that setup authentication. We don't need to do that because we have the API key. And then what do we have to do next? We'll go to this quick starts and basic edition. We can go, and using this Node.js, it is asking me to use this translate library, this Google Cloud Translate library, and use the translate API from within there. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll copy this, and I'll add this to our, let me quit out of this. I'll do yarn add and this thing. So it will add the translate API to our project. So once that is done, then we have to import our translate API like this. So once that is also done, we have to create a new instance of this translate object. So we can do that here. Once we have that, we can have a asynchronous function that will translate the text for us. So this will be the translation. So for we can have a number of translation. Translate the text into a target language, and it can be a single piece of text on an array of strings for translating multiple text. So if we supply multiple text, it will send us a response like that. So we will take a look at what are the responses when we get an answer. So what I am planning to do is, let me do this in this DTMF section only. That this was the thing, right? That where we were handling our response. So I'll go ahead and do something like this. If they responded with 1, so I'll just check for this here. Let me just paste this first of all, and then I'll go ahead and copy this. If this is a truthy, if this is a falsy value, then I'll just say that, let me just declare this right here, that this will be assigned multiple times, so I don't need to worry about that. So you did not enter anything, I'll say. If that is a falsy value, else what will happen is, let me put that in a couple of braces already, and then what will happen is this response object could be anything. If request dot body dot dtmf dot digits equal to 1, we can have a switch case, but I can do this with if else also. So we will have something like lang is equal to en, let's say en in, else if, let me copy that part again, and it is equals to, then lang is equal to en hi, no, hin, else we will just default to the US English language, and let us declare that as a variable above. So we have this. So now we can go ahead and do something here. So I'll copy this. I'll say we don't need this translation thing right here, but we will experiment this with this thing, that I'll translate hello, uh, thank you for calling. I'll translate this piece of text, so we can take a look at of what it will do. So what is this target variable right here? So I have no clue about that. So let us take a look at the documentation. So installing the client library, we have gone ahead and done that. We'll go to samples, and that was the source code. Let us take a look at the source code directly. So what happened is, this is the target, okay, the target language that there is. So I'll go ahead and do this target as, let me do this in a separate new line. I'll await this translate method, because this is an async, we are using async await, so I need to make this asynchronous as well. So we will say that translate this text into en, if, let's say, lang is equals to en in, or lang is equal to en us, then we don't need to do anything, but we'll just see that. Then let us do en. Otherwise, if uh, lang, let us do this something like this only, then en. Otherwise, if it is hin, Then we will do something like HI, otherwise English only. So that is a ternary operator right here. And then we can have the translations like this, and we will console log it, the entire thing. So, and we will not reply with anything else. So this, our response will be based on this, but we will see about that. So it will probably error out at this point, and I am fine with that. So let me start my application. It is now running. So how are we authenticating our entire this thing application? So I really need to look at the documentation once again. So we have to set up a getting started with the service account. So I think we can verify the authentication like this, or do we have a service endpoint already so I can just use the JSON API? I think no. So we have to have a project ID like this. Okay. So we need to set up the authentication with a service account. That is great. So let us do that and verify ourselves. So I'll get my project ID. I think I have this here. So this is my project ID. I'll copy this. And what is the constant that we need to set? It was, I think, let me take a look at it once again. It was project ID is equal to this your project ID. Uncomment this a line before running the entire application. So we will do something like, we have to do provide it something here. So this will be our project ID. I'll provide it this, and what else does it want? API endpoint, key and key file name, or key file path to a JSON file or so we will provide it a path to our key file. So let me take a look at how we can do that. We will go to set up your authentication with the service account, and I guess we have to create a service account right here. So I'll click on manage service account and add a new service account for this. I'll give it a name. Let's say service account, and we'll go ahead and we'll just click on create and select a role. Basic, I think basic should do. Read access to all the resources, or let us make it an owner and continue. The service account users role, I'll skip that part. So now we have this service account. So let me just stop sharing my screen once, and then we can go ahead and do this. I basically need to download this, and I'm not sure what it will show me. So let me go to my stream manager so that I can see my stream while I am doing this. So let me go to the keys, and we don't have a new key, so I'll create a new key. I can show you this part, that when I clicked on this service account, what it showed me was this details, permissions and keys. I'll go to keys and add a new key. I'll click on JSON, and then I'll click on new JSON, as in I'll select that, and now it is downloading a JSON file. So I'll say that this is my key, and I'll save it in the same folder as my project directory. So I have done that. So once I have done that, it has been saved to my computer, and now I can take a look at my API. What is it doing? So I'll provide it this key file, and this is saved at slash home slash sudipto slash lhd ivr translate private dot key. We will do this and then let us see what happens. As in, this should work, right? Before this, let us just check if this works directly. Before calling the API at all, let us just do this. Let us console log it before doing any of this stuff. We also have not used .env till now, and that is fine because we did not need it. So I'll paste it here, and as you can see, it is only valid in an in an asynchronous function. So I'll just do something like translate. I'll just wrap it up as async, and it will accept no arguments, and it will do something like this, and then we can call await in it. And translate has already been declared, so translate underscore we can have, and I will call this function, and let's take a look at what it replies. So lang is not defined because lang is not defined, so I'll say that lang const lang is equals to in. So once that is done, we should have something else. Your request is missing a valid API key, and I am sure about that because we did not specify any API keys here. Let's see what is happening. So we need to do this. This is our target. This is our text. We are doing the same things. So our project ID is defined, and we are instantiating it like this. So why is it not working? So we have selected as as an owner role, and I have created a new key. I have clicked close, and we also need to set up an environment variable where my key file is. So okay, we have to do that as well. So where are they? After setting the environment variable, we don't need to do anything else. So I'll just do something like this then. I'll close that out. I'll say export application credentials as, let's say, export Google application credentials as a path to that JSON file. So I'll say, let me copy this. So no, this was the wrong file. It was supposed to be a JSON file, and that is why that error was coming. So let me just yarn start it again, and we should have something else. No, it is still missing a valid API key. So we will go ahead and export that environment variable, whatever it was asking, and provide it a path to this key.json file. I'll go ahead and say export this thing to Google application credentials, and then let us echo it out. Yes, that is now set. So I'll do yarn start, and text is not defined, and now I am happy with that because that is working. Text is not defined. We are fully aware of that because this is the translate thing, right? Where is text? Okay, so yeah, we did not specify that here, so we will just refactor this as text, and I'll say const text is equal to this thing. Once we have done that, now we should have something target not defined. Yes, because target was not defined. Let me do this one more time, so we will have something going. Target is equal to this expression, and once that is done, this is the English, I think. This is the English response for this, and yeah, I mean, we have the translation for English version. So I'll go ahead and close that out. So what we have is we have the text and we have its translation. So if it is not a array of translations, that then we can have it as a translation itself. Otherwise, we can have it as an array. So what are they doing? So they just had a single element. So I'm assuming we have a single translation available. So I'll console log that only. And now we also see that translation is not defined because translations it is. So we will change that to translation because we are only having a single text. Otherwise, what we could have a array of strings and we can have many things going on. So we will do that. We will take out the translation from that object and we'll put it here. So that was successful, and if it was hi, so it printed hello phone करने के लिए धन्यवाद, and that is quite correct. So we don't want to do this. What we want to do is we want to have this function directly inside of our DTMF method. So we will do something like, let's say, something like this is what I am looking at. I'll get rid of this lang uh, variable right here. We have this going on, and let us see if we can translate the text when we receive something. I'll translate this text, and it will the response that we will send, that will be defined on what this translation is. So let me do response is equal to this translations, and then we can go ahead and declare this. So I'll go ahead and call that number. So we should hear hello, thank you for calling in one of the other languages. One of the languages.
Please select one for English and two for Hindi.
So I'll click English.
Hello, thank you for calling.
So that was that call, and now I'll call again, but I'll select Hindi this time. Then let us see what happens.
Select one for English and two for Hindi.
So I'll select 2 for Hindi.
Hello, phone करने के लिए धन्यवाद.
So you saw that, you heard that it spoke in a different language and it conveyed its meaning. So we have done the translation correct. So that is a win for us. So I think that my stream is getting a little bit long. So I'll just change this message right here and I'll add a couple more languages, and then we can just put this on GitHub and then post about it. And this is a great starter if you want to build out an entire application out of it, and also send API requests to your backend. You can do that as well, so you have that flexibility. And my job was to just showcase you that how you can work with a translation API and something like this. And it will be really cool that if you can come up with something and tweet about it and let me know, so I can also take a look at it. So I'll just add a couple more, let's say, languages, and I'll change this text to something more informative. Let's say COVID advisory text. So I'll see my stream once again. It's working. So this is the SMS message library. So this is one of the things. So we can send one of these messages to protect yourself. Let us see if there is something called mask. That is okay. This was from the World Health Organization website itself. So I am just taking 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 the resources from that as well. So this message library. I'm using one from the health alerts itself. So let us see. To date, there is no vaccine. That might be a little bit misleading, or this this entire library, this document could be a little bit outdated. So we can see anything like that, as in wear a mask. We can search for it. So let us see. So I'll just write this, that please wear a mask before going out. Thank you for calling. And I'll just put and help us defeat the pandemic. And the target languages could be something else. So now I'll say that this language could be something else. So I'll say one for English, two for Hindi, and three for German, let's say. And let us see that what how it works. So if it is now equal to 3, it should be a German. And what's the code for a German language? I don't currently have the information for that. I think it should be DE. Yes, it is DE. And let us hear some of the voices.
Hallo, danke für Ihren Anruf. Wie kann ich Ihnen helfen?
Hallo, danke für Ihren Anruf. Wie kann ich Ihnen helfen?
Hallo, danke für Ihren Anruf. Wie kann ich Ihnen helfen?
So I guess I'll select the style too for this also. So that works quite correctly with our entire thing. So this is a DE as in Deutsch. And we can say if it is, let's see, and if it is this Deutsch, then we can translate it to the German language. Otherwise, we can do this in English directly. So we now have that. We have three options: one for English, two for Hindi, and three for German. And then we will respond with this, that with a proper translation of one of these things. So I'll call my endpoint, my 1H number once again, and now let us see what happens.
3 for German.
And I'll say 3 for German.
कृपया बाहर जाने से पहले मास्क पहने और महामारी को हराने में हमारी मदद करें। फोन करने के लिए धन्यवाद।
So I think it did not take the response correctly, or 3 for German. I selected 3. I think there is something wrong with our approach. But did that work correctly? So if that digits would have been 3, it should have worked correctly, right? So let me just call that again, but it did say the message correctly in Hindi, as far as I can tell you.
Please select 1 for English, 2 for Hindi and 3 for German.
So I click 3.
कृपया बाहर जाने से पहले मास्क पहने और महामारी को हराने में हमारी मदद करें।
So
फोन करने के लिए धन्यवाद।
it took Hindi for due to some reason. Let's say let us just make that call again, and I'll select English this time, so you can really get to know what is happening.
Please select 1 for English, 2 for Hindi and 3 for German.
So I'll select 1.
Please wear a mask before going out and help us defeat the pandemic. Thank you for calling.
So now you see that our application is currently working as expected, and due to some reason that thing did not work. But uh, I think that the code for yes, that was a truthy value, so that evaluated as true there. So we need to do something like this to make this happen. So yeah, it was logical error at my part, so I'll just do this once again.
Please select 1 for English, 2 for Hindi and 3 for German.
So I'll select 3.
Betreten Sie vor dem Organ eine Mitke und helfen Sie uns, die Pandemie zu besiegen. Bin Sie für den anderen.
So that was the same message translated in German. Let me know if it was correct, or otherwise you can. This will be the same translation as what you would have got through the Google Translate website, and this is how it works. So I think this was a really cool project that we worked on tonight, and we can now go ahead and go to the local hack day website, and then let us see that we had to use a create a translator. That was one of the challenges. So we'll go ahead to the week long dev post, and how we can submit it. We will see that there are at least around 10 hours more to submit. The deadline is there. We can set up a project name. Let us see. IVR, COVID IVR, multiline. IVR using Vonage voice API for spreading awareness about wearing masks. So I'll click save and continue. I'll add the project details later, and let us select create a translator here, build a translator. And for the project details, we have to fill up a few things like get the GitHub repository and all. So we can do that. So let me go to the git ignore file. I'll just also git ignore this key.json, so we don't need that. I'll initialize a git repository here, and let me see, these files will be committed and I am fine with that. I'll go ahead and commit it using git commit, and I'll do initial commit. And we did not add those, so I think that is why it did not work. And now it has worked. It has committed these changes, and I'll go ahead and create a new git repository. You can go to github.com/new, and I'll go ahead lht ivr translate, and I'll click on create repository, and then I'll go ahead and do something like uh, this is an existing repository, so I'll go ahead and paste these commands in here, and that what it will do is it will add the github remote and push to it. And now let us see, this works. Now we can deploy it somewhere else as well. So what our code is actually doing is uh, it is providing us the entire, as in whatever works is, it is just the webhook endpoints. And if we have our key.json file in there, which we currently do not have because I git ignored it and it has some credentials, so I did not pushed it to the repository. But if you have that, you can deploy it on Heroku or somewhere else and then get it going. So I'll record a demo video of this, probably an audio recording or something like that, and I'll provide it in the dev post itself. But this is one of the tryout links, and I'll say I have built this with JavaScript, Node.js, let's say Vonage, and Translate API, Google Translate, and we'll put something here. I'll put it as to do, and we'll go ahead and click save and continue. Now we have that done. So once you do fill up all of these, click on this terms and condition and submit your project, and then your challenge the challenge requirement will be completed, and you'll get a point for your guild and for yourself. So that was a cool thing, according to me, that we got an IVR system up and running, and we used the Google Translate API for translating this text, that is please wear a mask before going out to help us defeat the pandemic. and then we replied it with the correct response. And I think that was it for the stream. And if you like this, let me know by pinging me on Twitter, or when this goes on live on YouTube, you can put a comment there and like this video. And do follow me on Twitch or subscribe to me on uh, YouTube, and follow me on Twitter to make sure that you get to know whenever I am up to something new or doing something. So that is it for this stream. So let me just get my screen out of the way, and then let us say some other final words that there are for this stream. So there are no new chat messages. So I guess this is all for the stream. And whoever was there with us in this stream, shout out to everyone. And thank you for supporting me along. And Luke was there in the chat for a long time. I think they are still here. And a shout out to them. And I also got followed by Salma, who go by the handle White Panther, and they also followed me on Twitch. So that was a great yay moment that made my day. I also demoed my project live on the MLH Twitch channel earlier today. So I'll put a link to that on my Twitter handle, or just let me put it in the stream chat only. So I'll head over to the MLH stream. They are currently streaming something, and they are,
So yeah, we got a. It's gonna go
so
from
let me
here.
mute that out, and I'll go ahead and pull up that recent broadcast. And I have got the link for that, I guess. It was called Share Party, and here I have it. So I'll copy the link to this and I'll put it in the chat. You can view this video, you can watch this video. Here is where I demoed one of my projects that we built on the stream in the last stream last night. So that was all for tonight. Thank you for being here, and see you soon. So I'll just play some music again, if that works. Yeah.